Hey everyone, today I just want to give a bit of a primer on how to get the best experience playing Need for Speed Underground 2 on PC in 2021 and onward. Now let me get this out of the way immediately here. Although I will show you where you could obtain the game and resources to help you install it, this will not be an install guide for the game itself. That gets into some legal gray area that I'm not going to directly promote on this channel. This guide is instead focusing on what to do when you have the game installed already. Mods, settings, game tweaks, etc. to make the game run smoothly and look nice. Now with that out of the way, you can head over to the Need for Speed Underground 2 subreddit, link in the description, to find resources on where to get a copy of the game and what you can do to ensure that it runs. Make sure you follow all of these resources. Alright, so to be clear, here is our installed copy of Underground 2. This is the main point we're starting from. This will boot up and you'll notice right away that the game will not fit to your screen, and in fact, there's no resolution change you can make to get it to run in 1080p, 1440, or whatever other modern resolution you likely want. So here is our first mod install, and probably the most important one. It's called the Widescreen Fix, and you'll get it here. Notice that it also includes improved gamepad support. Hit the download button, which takes you to the GitHub page that shows you a bit more info on what this mod does, and then click the bold.zip file download here. Alright, so now we've got that zip open here with one file and one folder in it. All you've got to do is navigate to your Underground 2 install and drag and drop the files from the zip into the main install folder. It's pretty much that easy. Now at this point, the game will probably run in widescreen like it should, but there's a few more steps we want to take to ensure a good experience. Head to this new scripts folder, and in it will be a .ini file. Open that up with a text editor, and here we can see the options for the Widescreen Fix mod. So the resolution defaults to 0:0. This will usually just fill your natural screen resolution, but if for whatever reason it doesn't work or you want a different resolution, just replace the zeros with whatever resolution you want. For the rest of the settings in the top half here, we want to leave these all on. Not much else to it. Now, for the bottom section, there's a few changes we'll likely want to make. Start with improved gamepad support if you'll be playing on a controller. Change to 1 for Xbox or 2 for PlayStation text. Next, the mod does limit the game to 120 FPS, but you may want to drop this down to 60. Although rare, you might get some goofy physics glitches playing at 120. I never had any game-breaking issues at 120, but sometimes AI cars would fly into the sky for a second before returning back down to Earth. Alright, so next we have single core affinity. Some people, especially on more modern CPUs, will experience occasional, seemingly random crashing issues. I was one of those people. Switching this to 1 should fix all of your problems. If it still doesn't work, or you want to know how to do this manually, here's what you can do. Boot up the game, then open Task Manager and find the Speed 2 executable. Right-click and hit Go to Details, and then right-click again and hit Set Affinity. You can see mine is already set to 1 core, but if you didn't have the fix in that .ini file active, every one of your CPU cores will be checked here. So you just uncheck them all except for 1. Doesn't really matter which one you leave checked, the game always ran fine for me on the first core, but some people think running on a higher core is a bit better. Keep in mind that your numbers will be different depending how many CPU cores you have. Alright, now back to the settings here. Finally, you can adjust your dead zone. It defaults to 10. You can make it a bit tighter if you want by going down a couple numbers, but don't go lower than 5. And on older controllers that have a bit more slop in the joystick, you may want to bump this up to maybe 15 or so. Alright, and that's it for the widescreen patch. Let's boot up, and you'll see right away that it's now running in widescreen, and we've got the Xbox button prompts you can see in the bottom right there. Don't pay attention to that gold Hummer or the Civic. Alright, so now we have a fully playable copy of Underground 2 that runs in widescreen, plays on your controller, and hopefully won't crash. If you want, you can just leave it here. This will give you an essentially fully vanilla experience of the game, but we can take it a bit further if we want to, starting with a graphics overhaul, which you can find here. Click the download button and hit download anyway. Now, we've got a few things here. Patch files to update the game to 1.2 if for whatever reason you still need to do that, and then the NFSU2 folder. Open that up and copy everything over to your game directory. Now, when you do this, it also gives you a copy of the widescreen patch we used earlier, but it's an old version you won't want to use. So if you did already have the widescreen patch installed, just go back to the widescreen patch zip and copy the files from that back into the game folder, and make those same .ini file changes. If you're going to be installing the graphics mod, you don't have to worry about installing the widescreen fix first like we did in this video. Just start by installing the graphics mod, then put in the updated widescreen fix. Alright, so in order to boot the game now with this graphics mod, we need to now go into the TextMod folder and boot up the TextMod.exe. Then locate your Speed 2 executable, then locate the graphics pack. It'll show here once you've found it one time, but the first time you'll have to navigate to the folder. Then just click the name here and hit run. It'll take a minute to boot up, so don't worry. You'll know it worked when your loading screen gets replaced by this one. Now, here we have a much nicer looking game. If you want to adjust the lighting and contrast a bit, you can head to the game settings and turn on or off the overbright and enhanced contrast settings. Alright, so the final big mod we're going to talk about today is NFSU2 Extra Options. This is entirely optional, but it is an incredible mod for making dozens upon dozens of tweaks to your game. You can enable more cameras, unlock every customization, change neon and headlight brightness, give yourself more money, etc, etc. Even for those of you looking for a mostly vanilla playthrough, there's still some nice options here. So go ahead and download the zip, and you guessed it, copy the files into your game directory. If you want access to all these changes, go to scripts and open the .ini file for extra options settings. Here you can adjust the game to your heart's content. Alright guys, that's just about it for the major stuff that I think most players will want to install before playing Underground 2. Now I do want to touch on some other really nice mods quickly without going into really how to install them in detail because, well, you guys probably get the gist by now. NFSU2 Visual Rep Remover is an awesome mod that keeps the game vanilla friendly while also allowing you to just build the cars you want to build without having to meet star requirements on a specific car. Super easy install, and I highly recommend giving it a look if you want more freedom in your car builds. Next, I want to mention Music Importer and Trax Renamer. These allow you to modify the game's soundtrack and add in or replace whatever you want. I used this in my own playthrough to avoid DMCA issues by replacing the entire soundtrack with copyright-free music. This takes a bit of messing around with the game files, but it's all simple stuff, and the README in the Music Importer explains everything way better than I could. And that's really about it. There's a lot more to modding Underground 2 that I didn't go over in this video, because I wanted to keep this pretty vanilla friendly, which is how I recommend playing the game. But if you want more, it's out there. I hope this video helped you get started on your Underground 2 journey. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.